This short video explains how to access information contained in the Hermit's Peak Calf Canyon Post-Fire Resource Hub site. The information included is primarily from the New Mexico Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management website, After Wildfire New Mexico website, and other post-fire resources for New Mexico and the Southwest. The hub site is designed so that it's easy for the user to find relevant information and is regularly updated. If you have information to submit or if you have a question, click this Email Us button, and the New Mexico Forest and Watershed Restoration Institute will process your request. So we will jump to the mapping resources in a few minutes, but we wanted to first talk through the other information that's on this initial landing page. You can click on this arrow to open up the rectangle that talks about signing up for texting and email emergency alerts. If you're interested in the fire assistance claims, updates and news to know, the Recover New Mexico newsletter, and weather and special notices. Then there's weather information and also links to fire-related weather information, several informative videos. The one you're watching is posted in this area. And then the mapping resources, which again, we'll come back to in a few minutes. The Community Resources tab has information on Neighbors Helping Neighbors, which is fire and flood relief programming, and also the Long-Term Recovery Group, where you could scroll down or click on that box. And this also has information here on the board members, committee chairs, meetings, etc. The social media updates. This is direct links to social media for these various agencies and organizations. It's all in one place, so you don't have to go looking up each individual link. In the post-fire community events tab, there is not information on any events here in June of 2024, but if we scroll down, let's say, for example, we look at February of 2023, there it shows the different events that were going on, location, etc. And if you scroll to the bottom, there are some recordings from 2022. And if you have anything you'd like to submit to be posted here, you can send it to Stacy Matlock, and here's her email address. The Mitigation and Recovery Resources tab, again, you would click on each one of these arrows if you want to get information on before the fire, some drop-down materials. You can click here to download on anything that's orange. Agriculture and forestry property owner information in particular. There's post-fire recovery information, debris removal, flood, flash flood, debris flow, safety information, sandbagging information, and then also during the fire, how to do preparations and evacuate, and then additional resources, for example, some information on private wells. Again, if you want to close and not see all the detail, you would just click on each of those triangles, and that closes up the information. The external resources section gives contact information for both San Miguel County and Mora County. There's information here on wildfire and asbestos exposure, New Mexico Environment Department link, and also the U.S. Center for Disease Control link. And then each of these rectangles here at the bottom bring you directly, for example, New Mexico Legal Aid if you want to visit that page. After the wildfire guide, there's some information here from the Army Corps on flood fighting techniques, and then also information on FEMA individual assistance. The next tab I want to talk about is post-fire recovery, the action strategy. Now, this was released back in February of 2023. You can click here to download the document. and it describes actions that support recovery and mitigation for the Hermit's Peak Calf Canyon catastrophic wildfire, with the goal of facilitating sustainability and resilience. If you scroll down here to this document, which is the Post-Fire Funding Opportunities Repository, you can't see it because, of course, it's so tiny, but if you click here, you can download the Excel spreadsheet, and that gives you information. There are hundreds of mitigation strategies pulled from various planning documents. Several of the columns address geography and ecological identifiers, and then there are dozens of columns off here to the right with funding opportunities available. So I'm going to take us back to our home screen for the hub site, jump to the mapping resources, which is at the bottom of that initial landing page, and we have three different options. We have a New Mexico Fire Viewer. This option gives you information on ongoing wildfires, and we'll center it on the Hermit's Peak Calf Canyon burn scar. There's also information that can be layers that can be turned on and off. Here you can zoom in and out, create a map. I'll show you those techniques here under the post-fire map creator. This can be used to generate reports. You can type in your address here or a particular area you're interested in. If you click here for instructions, this is a few pages that walks you through how to create a map. And so I'm going to show you just an example of how to create a map and a report. And we're going to use Morphy Lake State Park as an example. So here's our example, and I'll zoom in a little bit. And we'll turn on this composite burn index. And if I click on this triangle, it's going to show me the legend really that is explaining what do the different colors mean. And the other layer I was going to turn on for our example is this post-fire flood zones layer that was developed by the Army Corps after the fire. So if I want to generate a report, I can click here on the tool. I'm going to use just a point to identify where the Morphy Lake State Park is. I can identify if I want, I'm going to do a half-a-mile boundary around the park and click report. So you see how it drew that boundary. And then I can go here to print the report. And here I can type in a title or whatever else I'd like to type in. And the report shows us the legend of what layers we selected. But it also shows us for that burn severity within a half-a-mile of the Morphy Lake State Park, how many acres are the different, moderate, low, or high severity. So this is the type of information you can get for a particular property. Again, it depends on which layers you turn on and off. The other thing I wanted to show was how to create a map. So again, I went here to the upper right and I clicked on print, and I'm gonna, you could choose any number of different formats. I'm gonna keep it on JPG, and I'm hitting print. It does take a minute or two to generate, but I've already done this for us ahead of time. And so here is our map that would be created. Again, with the report, you had that additional acreage, but if you're just looking for a map, this is an example of what to use. So we hope that this video has been helpful. And if you do have questions, you can, again, click this email us. Thank you.